The Wall Street Journal just called Cape Coral the worst housing market in America. Not struggling, not challenged, the absolute worst. And before you dismiss this as media sensationalism, let me show you the numbers that prove this isn't a correction. This is a complete meltdown. Home prices are down 7.8% year over year. 52% of homes are getting price cuts. 8% of homeowners are completely underwater on their mortgages. Inventory has exploded from 3,500 homes to over 14,000. This is what was supposed to be Florida's next big thing, and it's collapsing in real time. If you own property in Cape Coral, or you're thinking about buying there, you need to understand exactly how bad this is going to get, because we're just at the beginning of this disaster. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 7 critical factors that are destroying Cape Coral's housing market right now. These aren't theories. These are data-driven realities that show why this market has nowhere to go but down. The median home price has crashed from around $400,000 to $360,000. That's $40,000 of equity just gone. But that's the median. Some people are down way more. There's an investor the Wall Street Journal wrote about who bought a house for $600,000 to Airbnb. It was listed at $675,000. The owner had to cut the price to under $500,000. That's a $200,000 loss before even counting carrying costs. For the investor, this isn't just a bad deal. This is a financial obliteration. They bought at the peak, believing the dream of passive income and appreciation. Now they're staring at a loss that wipes out years of savings. And here's the red flag for everyone else. When investors who paid cash are getting crushed this badly, what chance do leveraged homeowners have? When they're forced to sell at these losses, it resets the property values for their entire neighborhood, dragging everyone else down with them. The month-over-month numbers are even scarier. In February, prices fell 6.5%. In March, they were down 7.1%. In April, they were down 7.8%. These are not annual numbers. These are monthly drops, the kind of consistent month-after-month declines we haven't seen since the financial crisis. And they're accelerating, not slowing down. The inventory explosion is absolutely insane. Cape Coral had 5,500 homes for sale back in 2023, then 10,000 in 2024. Now we're at over 15,000 active listings. That's a 12-month supply in some areas. For context, a balanced market is 4 to 6 months. 12 months means total buyer control, desperate sellers, and prices that have nowhere to go but down. The waterfront market, which was supposed to be Cape Coral's crown jewel, is getting destroyed. Over 3,400 waterfront listings. These are not cheap starter homes. These were premium properties that people stretched to buy, thinking they were getting paradise. For the retiree who bought that waterfront dream home, this is devastating. They sold their house up north, cashed out, and moved to Florida for the good life. Now they're stuck with a house they cannot sell, insurance they cannot afford, and the sickening realization that their retirement nest egg is evaporating. And here's the threat to the broader market. When 3,400 waterfront sellers are all competing for the same tiny pool of buyers, desperation sets in. Price cuts become panic, and panic becomes contagion that spreads to every neighborhood in the city. But here's what really tells the story. Domestic migration into Cape Coral collapsed from 3.5% in 2022 to just 0.5% in 2024. Nobody is moving there anymore. The California refugees, the New York retirees, the remote workers, they've all stopped coming. And without that constant flow of new buyers, the whole house of cards collapses. The demographics are catastrophic for future demand. Cape Coral was built for retirees and remote workers. Retirees are reconsidering after seeing hurricane damage and insurance costs. Remote workers are being called back to offices. The population growth that fueled the boom has reversed. For the young family who moved to Cape Coral for affordable housing and good weather, this collapse in migration is a trap. They bought because everyone was moving there. Now the schools are seeing enrollment decline, local businesses are closing, and the vibrant community they were promised is withering. And here's the implication. Cities that lose population don't just see flat prices, they see terminal decline. When the migration reverses, the economic engine dies, jobs disappear, services vanish, and property values enter a death spiral. Hurricane Ian absolutely devastated the area's psychology. Even though Cape Coral didn't get hit as hard as Fort Myers Beach, the threat is now real. People watch their neighbors lose everything. Insurance companies watched billions in claims. And everybody realized that living on the water in Florida is not the dream they were sold. Insurance is becoming impossible. After Ian, companies either pulled out completely or jacked rates so high that people's monthly costs doubled. Some people are paying $20,000 a year just for homeowners insurance. Add flood insurance on top, which is mandatory for many areas, and you're looking at $25,000 to $30,000 a year just to insure your house. That's more than many people pay in rent. For the condo owner on a fixed income, that $25,000 annual insurance bill isn't an inconvenience. It's an eviction notice. They budgeted for their mortgage and taxes. They didn't budget for insurance costs that rival a second mortgage. Now they're forced to choose between staying insured and eating. And here's the red flag for everyone. When insurance becomes unaffordable, properties become unsellable. No buyer qualifies for a mortgage when insurance adds $2,000 per month to the payment. These homeowners are trapped, and trapped sellers become desperate sellers, which drives prices even lower. The city utilities situation is a ticking time bomb nobody talks about. Cape Coral has thousands of homes that are not connected to city water and sewer. They're on well and septic. The city has been pushing to connect everyone, but it costs homeowners $15,000 to $20,000 in assessments. Imagine being underwater on your mortgage and then getting hit with a $20,000 bill for utilities. For the underwater homeowner, that $20,000 assessment is the final straw. They're already paying more on their mortgage than the house is worth. They've already seen their equity disappear. Now the city is demanding $20,000 they don't have for utilities they didn't ask for. Their only option is strategic default. Walk away and let the bank have it. And here's the implication. When underwater homeowners start walking away en masse, foreclosures surge. Banks dump properties at fire sale prices, and those foreclosure sales reset the comps for the entire market, pulling everyone else underwater with them. Construction has basically stopped. New permits are down 23%. Builders see what's coming, and they're not building into a crash. But Cape Coral has thousands of vacant lots that were supposed to be developed. Those lots are now worth a fraction of what people paid. Another layer of investors getting crushed. For the speculator who bought 5 vacant lots in 2021, this is total annihilation. They bought those lots for $100,000 each, expecting to flip them to builders for $150,000 once development took off. Now those lots are worth $40,000, and there are no buyers at any price. They're paying property taxes on worthless dirt, and here's the threat. Cape Coral has thousands of these vacant lots. When those speculators finally capitulate and dump their lots, it floods the market with land inventory. That kills any hope of new construction, which kills any hope of job growth, which kills any hope of recovery. The rental market tells the same ugly story. Rents shot up after Hurricane Ian because displaced people needed somewhere to live, but now they're falling because nobody can afford these prices long term. Investors who bought properties to rent are getting crushed. The Airbnb market is oversaturated. Long-term rentals are not cash flowing. Everyone is trying to sell at the same time. Young buyers have completely disappeared from the market. First-time buyers are basically extinct in Cape Coral. The only people buying are investors thinking they're getting deals or retirees who don't need mortgages. But even the cash buyers are pulling back because why catch a falling knife when you can wait for bigger drops? For the landlord investor who bought 5 rental properties, this is a nightmare. Their Airbnb units sit empty for weeks. Their long-term tenants are breaking leases because they can rent cheaper elsewhere. The mortgages are underwater, and the cash flow is negative $1,000 per month per property. They're bleeding $5,000 every month with no end in sight. And here's the implication for the broader market. When rental investors capitulate and flood the market with inventory, it creates a supply tsunami. 15,000 listings become 18,000, then 20,000. Prices don't just fall, they collapse. Reventure app data shows Cape Coral's home price forecast score is now 31 out of 100. Anything below 45 indicates decline. 31 means catastrophic collapse. The algorithm is basically screaming that this market is done for. And these are not opinions. These are data-driven predictions based on actual market metrics. The comparison to 2008 is scary, but important. Back then, Cape Coral crashed because of bad loans and speculation. This time, it's crashing because of fundamental problems: insurance crisis, climate risk, affordability, oversupply, population decline. You cannot fix these with lower interest rates or government bailouts. These are structural issues that are not going away. Here's what nobody wants to admit. Cape Coral is a failed experiment. A city built in a swamp with canals that are basically drainage ditches. No real downtown, no real economy besides real estate. No reason to exist except speculation. When the speculation ends, what's left? A bunch of houses in a swamp that hurricanes keep threatening to destroy. If you own property in Cape Coral, you need to face reality. This market has much further to fall. The inventory will keep growing. The buyers will keep disappearing. The prices will keep dropping. This is not fear-mongering. This is math. This is what happens when a speculative bubble built on nothing finally meets reality. So what do you do if you're stuck in Cape Coral? First, if you can sell without catastrophic loss, sell now. Every month you wait, you lose more equity. Second, if you're underwater, talk to your lender about a short sale before foreclosure destroys your credit. Third, if you're thinking about buying, wait. This market has months, maybe years, of decline ahead. The smart money already left. They sold in 2022 when they saw the writing on the wall. The people buying now thinking they're getting deals are catching falling knives. The people holding and hoping for recovery are going to be underwater for years, maybe decades. Cape Coral's housing market isn't just done for. It's a cautionary tale about what happens when greed meets geography, when speculation meets storms, when dreams meet reality. The worst housing market in America is about to get worse, much worse, and there's absolutely nothing that can stop it because the problems are fundamental, not fixable. In the next video, we're going to look at the 3 other Florida cities that are following Cape Coral's exact same trajectory. Because if you think this is isolated to one market, you're not paying attention to what's happening across the entire state. The dominoes are falling, and you need to know which cities are next.